Call this meeting to order at 5:30. Roll call. Council at Large Boots.
Here.
At Large Spear.
Here.
Council Ward Number 1 Leeper.
Here.
Ward Number 2 Anderson.
Here.
Ward Number 3 McNeil.
Here.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
To the approval of the agenda, are there any additions? Seeing that there are none, is there a motion to approve this agenda?
I'll make that motion.
Boots with the first,
I'll second.
and Spear with the second.
McNeil?
Yes.
Boots?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Spear?
Yes.
Leeper?
Yes.
All right, the agenda has been approved. Moving on to the communications, the unscheduled portion. If there's anybody in here who would like to address the city council, then you can make your way to the podium. But Ms. Swan, if you just state your name and your address for the records. You can stay there if you want.
Yeah, I know, but
Oh, okay.
I know you guys don't have enough to read, so I brought you more. Somebody told me they're just dying for stuff to read.
Mm-hmm.
There's two. Oh, she's not here. Well, maybe she'll come. This is part 2 of the last handout. If you would pass those on down. I just want to be sure that we all know how things are done when they're done in the open and they're done with transparency instead of behind the scenes and in the dark. And I really feel that we need to take this apart. And there'll probably be a third part very shortly to that. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. All right, so is there anyone else? Seeing that there is none, we'll move all the way down to the consent agenda, which all these can be enacted with one motion, which is the approval of the city council minutes from our last meeting, the approval of September and October treasurer and investment report, and then also the approval of the airport board minutes. Any of these need to be pulled out and discussed?
Mayor, I just have
Yes.
a question on the October fund balance report for Department 740, the stormwater, the yearly expenses are about $77,000. Is that roughly what we paid to McClure, or is there other stuff in there?
I believe, I'd have to look, but I think that's almost entirely what's been paid to McClure today.
So that was the stormwater fund balance, you said?
What is the expenses for it, yeah.
All right, any other thing? Seeing that there is none, is there a motion to carry this agenda? McNeil with the first,
I'll second.
and Boots with the second.
Boots?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Spear?
Yes.
Leeper?
Yes.
McNeil?
All right, then moving down to the motions for approval, L1, which is the claims list. Is there anything in this claims list that needs to be pulled out? Seeing that there is none, is there a motion to approve this?
So moved.
Spear with the first, and McNeil with the second.
Anderson?
Yes.
Spear?
Yes.
Leeper?
Yes.
McNeil?
Yes.
Boots?
Yes.
All right, so that's been approved. And to the second one, approval of naming the electric superintendent as the voting rep for the Resale Power Group of Iowa.
So moved.
Is there any discussion on it? I guess I do. I have a question on it. What exactly does this do for you or us?
It basically gives me the authority to vote on minutes, things like that. It does not give me the authority to spend your money.
Okay.
I have to
So, Lieber has made the first,
Second.
and Anderson with the second.
Spear,
Yes.
Leeper, McNeil, Boots,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
And to the, number 3, which is the consideration of approval for an interconnection agreement for customer installation of solar and wind power devices. Come on up, Lloyd. I'm sure we have some type of question on this.
What's
I
that?
hope we do. I hope we have questions on this.
This document's been a pain for the last year. We're on the 8th generation of this. There's constantly, the business is changing, the distributed generation is changing how we purchase and sell electricity. So the last review was done by Bob Latham, and we found some things that were in violation or conflict of Iowa law with the Iowa Utility Board in general. So the insurance provision was one of them, and he recommended some changes so that if anything happened, whoever puts the solar installation in has to defend us in court. So it won't be that we have to, but that's one of the other changes. And they do still have to show us that they have homeowners insurance, and most typically, I think it was $200,000 if I remember right. That sticks in my mind, doesn't it, Tim?
Which is a minimal amount.
Yeah,
frankly.
and typically most homeowners policies, I think the liability part of it, like I looked at mine, it was $350,000. So other than that, there wasn't a lot of changes to it, just to make sure that we were following the PURPA Act from the 70s, when the energy crisis happened back then, and that's really about it. There's going to be more and more distributed generation, and we're going to start seeing less revenue because of that. So that's something we need to plan for, because I know the grocery stores talked about it. There's some others talking about it, so it's going to be a big change for the utility.
Has the council reviewed this document in its entirety before?
Mm-hmm.
Can I make a suggestion? Maybe next time, rather than giving us the whole 30 pages of it to reread again, if we could just get the changes that are effective in it? Is that
Okay.
possible?
Yeah.
I mean, it was okay for me to read it because I hadn't seen it before, but if we've seen it before, I don't know if we want to read the whole 30 pages.
Well, I know that you weren't here when we did it the first time. Tim wasn't here, and Ross wasn't here. The only two that would have been here would have been Dean and Pam. So I
But I
figured,
did kind of struggle a little bit to find where the change was.
yeah, I figured if I was going to bore them, I figured I should bore everybody with it.
Yeah.
Share.
Or maybe somehow set out where the change is, just so we recognize that a little easier.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
took an easier route, I visited with Tim.
It's pretty good.
Okay.
All right, so is there a motion to approve this?
I'll make that motion.
Boots with the first,
Second.
and McNeil with the second.
Leeper,
Yes.
McNeil,
Yes.
Boots,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Spear,
Yes.
All right, so then we move on to consideration of approval of a quote for roofing replacement for 3 Parks and Rec buildings. Is there any questions on that or discussion? Because it's supposed we need to have some. We have, what, 3 of them?
Yes.
I guess I'm interested in what would be the preference of the texture over the without.
Sorry, what was that?
On the Dutch Brothers, we have the option going without texture or with texture.
Yes, for the one.
What, I mean, is there a preference from
was
The Rex department.
it's Adam's recommendation to go with the textured finish because it holds up better. And Adam had a conflict this evening, so he's wasn't able to be here.
And just to make sure, this is for all three buildings.
This is for all three. That's the total price for all three.
And is the Dutch Brothers the only ones that have a,
But have the offer for a textured roof.
Had he budgeted for this?
Sorry, what?
Was this in the budget for doing
Yes,
this?
for maintenance. Just so the council's aware, and I did check with Adam on this, if there's need to have further information from him, it would not hurt this if it were tabled until the next meeting. So that's at your discretion.
I guess I would make the recommendation that we go with the Dutch Brothers and the texture. I didn't know, that's the kind of roof that I put on before, and it is supposed to last longer.
Mhm.
So,
When would they anticipate starting this? Spring?
Well, weather being what it is, it could be
This year.
yet this year, but more likely in the spring.
I'll second the motion.
okay, so we got a motion on the table to go with the Dutch Brothers, and then a second to go with the Dutch Brothers with texture.
With texture, yeah.
McNeil,
Yes.
Boots,
yes,
Anderson,
Yes.
Spear,
Yes.
Leeper,
Yes.
Alright, so that's been passed, we'll have textured roofs and park. And then, consideration of authorizing a request for quote for high-speed internet and phone service for the municipal facilities. Mr. Ratliff, if you wouldn't mind taking the podium.
That's my dad's name.
Oh, sorry, Brad.
There we go, that's a lot better already. So when I first started here, I started working with Tim and with Mayor Carney on ways that we could reduce the overall overhead of the ambulance service, increase our services. And one of the things that we identified that would benefit our ambulance service as well as the rest of the city was the consideration for a high-speed internet line. And then with that subsequently phone lines as well. So I'll throw out some numbers to you and then I'll say the number you're looking for and then the cost savings on it. How about that? Currently today, the city pays out approximately $2,216.12 per month for high-speed internet and for phone systems. I'm sorry, for phone lines coming into the city. And then lastly, for lines that are called OPX lines, which actually connect the different buildings together. So just interrupt me when I start talking with acronyms. So I'll go through these OPX lines. OPX lines are lines, they're copper lines that connect each of the buildings. In the past, back in my day in IT, we had these lines ran between buildings to allow us to talk amongst each other. They could be used for phones, they could be used for monitoring devices, very, very efficient, and today they're old and outdated. We're spending $448 a month on those lines. The purpose of these lines in the past was to allow the city to monitor the various devices. The unique thing about today is we have fiber interconnecting almost every building. The buildings that have these OPX lines inside of them are buildings that have fiber lines in them at this time. So I think that it would be safe to say that we could probably remove these lines. Not something that you would just cut the line and say what happened and who complains first. Some of these things are probably tied up to some very unique lines that if they go down, we have an issue. Every single office has a unique phone line as well. PD has 4 phone lines, I want to say, with 1 backup, and I could be off by 1 number on that. Ambulance has our own phone bill that we're paying out a month, and so on and so forth. Moving forward, internet cost is $690 per month, and they call that Ethernet. It's 2 pairs coming into a building. which gives us a maximum of 6 megabyte up and 6 megabyte down. I can keep on going on and on and on, but I think you guys get the gist, right? There are a lot of these different numbers. So when I used to work in information technology, I helped a lot of people consolidate these numbers down. My proposal is to utilize the current infrastructure in place with the fiber that connects all the buildings and use that as the backbone to allow our phone system and our network to be used at optimal conditions. We could bring in a company, my day it was called NetINS, now there's Arion or one of the other local providers, provide high-speed internet and telephones at anticipated $1,067.95 a month. It's a 65% savings every month. That would increase our speeds from 6 megabyte maximum, which usually ends up being a 2 megabyte to a 20 megabyte line. When we look at speeds, we look at the latency. When you go onto a true fiber line, we'd be looking at the lowest latency, meaning the fastest speeds possible. If we were to have an issue, our current vendor is Windstream. They have 3 hours to respond for a telephone emergency, and after that it's kind of wishy-washy for internet. If we went with a company, a different company, a fiber company, they earned a contract for 3-hour responses. The unique thing about it is that we'd be able to consolidate both the phones and the internet into one bill, and that would give us essentially, instead of the 10 lines that we have right now, it would bring us up to 20 lines, for lack of better terms, and then each phone would have the possibility of having its own individual number, what's called a DID, a direct inbound dial number. So that's as, I don't know, I think that's the fast scoop right there, without me really getting talking. Brian's over here keeping shut up now. You guys have any questions for me on that?
Give me that figure again, the
Yeah.
1,067.
I put that in. $1,067.95. The other figure that the city would need to be alerted to is that there is a cost from migrating the current technology over to the next generation technology. It's something that I would suggest be bidded out with multiple vendors to see what our best bang for the buck would be. I anticipate that number being south of $10,000 and north of $6,000, so somewhere in that line right there. Return on investment would be within 1 year from pulling the trigger, depending on what vendor you go with and what options you choose. Overall, though, it's a real opportunity to save money and get better service provided to everybody. And if you're wondering where to put that money that you're saving, we have an ambulance service that we would love nothing more than to help you guys out with that issue.
Did you say you were guesstimating 65% savings?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, per month. We'd be going from 2,000 to a little under 1,100.
And that's really based off of where you start. My recommendation is with these companies, whenever I've negotiated these deals, start on the low end of where you think you need to be and then bump your stuff up and bully your way into waiving all the fees for the speed increases or phone number increases. And I find those to be pretty well, but I would guesstimate between $1,000 and $1,300 a month is where you'd be at, which is still about $1,000 less a month than what you're paying right now.
So once we brought that in too, for all the city and to be able to talk to people, how would that work for the rest of the town, like Brian's wife, who
This is just
Doing
for
things
city
from-
stuff right now.
this is tough, so we're not looking at making it
That's a great question.
city?
So, finding a vendor, I'm all up for the idea of taking in a service that's high speed and seeing if you can branch it out across the town and really bring better services to the community.
Right.
I had approached a couple vendors to just kind of see where we sit, and I asked them that question: what would it take for us to be able to provide that service to the consumers? And I'll just straight up tell you, the vendors that I look at are not consumer vendors, they're industrial vendors. They specialize in one thing and they're looking for business customers. So one vendor said, it's not even in our plan, we have no desire to do it. That's not what our goal is. Another vendor said, it's not in our 5-year plan. You know, you can look at it like this is an opportunity to take more revenue on. The tough thing about Tipton and the great thing about Tipton is we're close to a lot of places, but we're far away from other places. And when you look at fiber running, you're looking at $10,000 a mile. So most places don't want to run that fiber to the area. There are options for putting things like a wireless service on top of the water tower, which we might be able to profit off of by renting that space. And I think that there are vendors out there that would be willing to approach it, mostly local telephone companies, but I think that that would be a conversation if you wanted to pursue that, that would be better after you guys had approved to move forward with that. To be selfish, I'm looking at ways of cutting my budget down at the ambulance, and so we were looking at things a little bit faster, but having a vendor that would be willing to buy into that would definitely be a real opportunity for this community.
I appreciate that. You're keeping your budget down. But I guess.
Wait for later.
Yeah. So once we would, if we would move forward with this and we would bring this in, then we would just have to get another vendor that could piggyback off of what we're utilizing?
I see where you're going at. So if you're at the courthouse, right across the street is the pharmacy.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go to the east, there's a little white building right there. Just everybody nod your head up and down, pretend you know what I'm talking about. So the little inconspicuous white buildings where the fiber pop is for the community. The owner of the fiber is Arion Communications. They are a co-op, I think is the nice way of saying it. They are this large conglomeration that used to be known as NetINS, and anybody who has fiber has it on that fiber, and that's where it goes. Windstream's in there, Mechanicsville Telephone's in that building technically, Clarence technically should be in there, Will Telco should be in there, yada, 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 because it's the same exact line. So if we were to be pulling in fiber, most likely, unless there's another provider out there, it'd be one of those telcos that'd be providing it, and we'd be dredging in, boring in fiber from that white building over to this, to the city hall where the central network is for this. So that line you would want to be dedicated to the city and the city only. When you look at fiber, you run what are called individual pops. You put a box out in a neighborhood and then you kind of branch out from there, and that's an extremely expensive process. Mm-hmm. Most of the smaller telephone companies have used what's called a rural broadband initiative to run that fiber out to their local consumers, but nothing has been done yet in this community to do something like that. Most of them are going after larger communities, truthfully. There is another option. It could be utilizing wireless. Once again, you could light up the water tower using probably about $15,000 to $20,000 in equipment, and you could cover this whole city plus quite a large radius around it. The kicker is, when I did this stuff back in the day, when I was young and skinny, this was a full-time job running that stuff, and I would discourage the city from ever trying to get into that part of the business. I mean, you can make money, but it's huge risk, and customers are not always the most loyal customers. If you can convince another telco that they want to run fiber there, and they want to light it up and take all the work on and just rent out space, great deal, run with it. But I would encourage the city to be selfish in this case and just look at itself right now. I think it's the safest spot to go, and it has the least number of bumps in the road and red tape to run over. My opinion.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? So that $1,000 a month we could save. I'm here. Okay, nobody took that one.
And so this is just a motion for a request for the quotes.
Right.
So we're not approving any actual companies coming in yet. All right, is there a motion?
Yes.
Lieber with the first,
I'll second.
and Spear with the second?
Boots,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Spear,
Yes.
Leeper,
Yes.
McNeil.
All right, so we'll send those inquiries out. Now moving on to requesting the city council members to host the lighting of the community Christmas tree. Anyway, Linda Beck.
Hello. Hi. Well, on the 26th, at 5 o'clock is when we're going to officially kick off the holiday season by lighting the community Christmas tree, which is ready to go. It's there. So I need representation in the event that the mayor will be out of town, which I believe that is happening, of who the official will be that will be there that night to light the tree.
I suggested Chief Catford.
Okay,
And I'll probably attend.
okay, okay, that's wonderful.
But only if Chief Catford can be Chevy Chase in National Lampoons. And
We can probably do that. Yeah. Okay, good, thank you.
No problem.
I'll just stay right here.
All right, yes, and then the council members to attend the Tipton Manufacturers Educational Meeting.
Yes,
Wait,
I just felt that was good to have representation there. Oops.
hold on, we have to have a motion. Okay. Can we have a motion to approve Chief Catford as lighting the,
Make that motion.
Mr. Anderson with the first,
I'll
I'll
second.
and Boots with the second?
Anderson?
Yes.
Spear?
Yes.
Lieber?
Yes.
McNeil? Boots?
Yes.
All right, then now we can move down to the council members going to this on December 13th. And what exactly is it?
Well, Kirkwood is going to be coming. I've invited our manufacturers in town. It's an educational program for them so they can understand about the 260E and F that Kirkwood Community College can help them with regarding helping them pay for employees and training. And so I have already sent the invitations out and just wondered perhaps, and I know many of you were, if one or two council members would be present for this meeting too, just to show the manufacturers that we too are interested, to make sure that they're getting what they need. And if not, I understand that. I just want you to be aware of what's going on.
All right, Leaper can. So is there a motion to have a council member attend this?
So moved.
Spear with the first. And McNeil with the second.
Spear?
Yes.
Lieber?
Yes.
McNeil? Boots?
Yes.
Anderson?
And the last one, the council members to attend the Main Street Walk-Around Review on December 19th.
Yes. It would be approximately 1 hour in the morning, and then if you wanted to come back in the afternoon, which I will get that in the paper because the public is also encouraged to attend this at 2 o'clock. So it would be a couple of times that day if it would work out for someone to be there. I'm also going to ask that the city manager be present, and I know there are some department heads that are interested in going in the walk as well.
I would be happy to attend.
Okay.
And I will tell you that it's a second meeting, and I'm very excited to hear that we're doing this.
Great, good. Now, I can also let you know that at this meeting, before I thought I could do a dual meeting with the Main Street program, but they cannot do it that day. So the Main Street program will be for another time, but I am excited about this. I think this will be great. So Pam will be there for that. Okay.
All right, a motion to have our council member represent there.
I'll make that motion.
Boots with the first,
Second.
and Anderson with the second.
Lieber?
Yes.
McNeil? Boots?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Spear?
Yes.
All right then, and then moving down for the rolling equipment summary and listing and the report that needs to be received.
I just want to say a couple of quick points on that. This is a report that we can easily generate. Clay does that annually for us, for me, so we can look to see how much we're using the equipment, how many hours, how many miles, all the repairs, everything that's done to any piece of equipment has a work order, and all the parts and any labor, which is some labor usually, are associated with that work order, and they're applied to that piece of equipment. So that gives us annually how much it costs us to own that piece of equipment, how much we've used it. Clay does an excellent job. He charges our shop rate, this is I think, something we all should know. We charge $40 an hour for clay to work on that equipment. That's charged to that piece of equipment. Whoever owns that piece of equipment, or whoever it's assigned to within the city, pays for the repair on that piece of equipment. Public Works has a lot of equipment. Gas and electric have equipment as well, and some equipment we share on a percentage basis. So if there's a repair to the backhoe, I think Public Works, has like 80% of the backhoe. We pay 80% of the repair on that out of Public Works budget. Gas and electric would pay the other 20%. I don't know how that's split up. Not that it really makes that much difference, but that's just how it works. The thing to compare that with is the shop rates with other truck shops and the local car dealers, for example. Some truck shops in Cedar Rapids are $110 or $20 an hour. So that's the benefit of having our own shop and an excellent mechanic working on all our stuff. He does just about everything. We use this is a report that's coming out right now because it's ahead of the equipment committee meeting that we're going to have in a couple weeks. Tim's involved with that, myself and Tim, and this year we've added Floyd and Virgil to that group, so we get good input from everybody. We will analyze and see what equipment needs to be upgraded and what we can live with. The last couple of years, we've traded out some pickups. We've still got a couple of pickups that the boxes are just about falling off of them, and we'll probably try to do something with a couple of those this year, along with some other, two or three other pieces of equipment. Any questions on that?
Have we set a date?
So we'll have to coordinate a date with the department heads and you. Do you have any blackout weeks?
Whatever they come up with.
Okay.
December, Tim, is that anytime in December, is that the first couple of weeks? Okay.
We'll nail a date and we'll get everyone all notified, so that that's started here pretty quickly.
Steve, is there potential to get a spreadsheet in his notes here on a lot of these items he recommends when the fiscal year that we should look at replacing it? It would be nice if we could have that all in a spreadsheet.
Absolutely.
A potential dollar replacement amount, so we have an idea of what we're looking forward to.
That's a great point, man. We can do this, the cadence program that we got about 8-9 years ago can give us about any report that you want. When after our equipment committee meeting, and we identify a few pieces of equipment that are candidates for upgrade or replacement, we'll get all the numbers together on what that piece of equipment has cost us, what the probable trade or replacement cost would be before we do anything, you bet. So we're happy to work with everybody on that.
It'd be nice to have that about 5 years out if we can.
Oh, you know what? Clay has developed that for me in the past, a 3 to 5 year plan, and we've just sometimes not had the funds to pursue it much further than a couple of pickups, which we buy on state bid. This is another thing that I want to bring out, and I think the public should know this. We buy new pickups in Tipton for one big reason. We get them for about $10,000 less than the public can buy them on state bid. We can keep those pickups for 3 years or 5 years and resell those pickups for just about what we paid for them. So that's so when you see us driving new pickups, it's not like we're just doing that because we can do that and we want new pickups. It's the wisest thing to do. These older pickups that we've got, we're putting some money in them just to keep them on the road. 3 to 5 year program for a pickup, depending whether it's Ford or Chevy, is still covered by warranty after the 3 to 5 years. So some cities trade every 3 years and just get new pickups and sell the other ones, and boy, it doesn't cost them much. Everything is paid for. And we spend less time in the shop fixing them. So, questions?
Yeah, I had a question if I could. I saw the report in the packet, and it looked like an awful lot of equipment that is kind of starting to get to the point where you're going to need to do something. glad that Ann asked that question, because that was what I was gonna ask, is what a projection 5-year down the line, or 10, or whatever you can do, so you can kind of balance this out budget-wise, so you don't get hit some year for a huge amount, and because it's gonna be necessary for these people to set a budget and try to stay within a parameter.
That's one thing we consider when we're doing these things. We don't like to have big pieces of equipment due all at once. We space those out. Pickups, we don't like to buy. Like when I came here, we had 3 pickups that were all 2000. They were all the year 2000. Well, we still have 2 of them. And those are 17 years old now. We're close to it. And there's not much left to them. But we got a new pickup in Public Works. Well, the water wastewater got a new pickup. That was scheduled with this in-house takeover. And then I think Electric got a new pickup last year. Public Works, we got a new pickup in 2012. We're trying to space these out, Larry, so that it's not, everything doesn't come together at once. It's a continual progression down here. We think, well, we've got everybody's attention, right? There's 3 pieces of equipment that we call frontline pieces of equipment for the city. The bucket truck has to go. That's a piece of equipment. We got a new one a couple of years, 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I think.
That was done before I got here, so probably
Just
3
before
years more.
Just before you got here.
Well, it's 2012, so probably 4 years.
Okay.
Going on 5.
John would know exactly probably, but I think that's right, 12 or something like that. And that's in nice shape, obviously. The garbage truck has to go. And if you don't think the garbage truck has to go every day, if it's not going, you come and sit at my desk or at Connie's desk. Because we get phone calls and people expect that kind of service. And we're happy to comply with that. But that piece of equipment is a high priority thing for Clay, and he understands that probably better than some of the mechanics that come to work on it, actually. And then the other piece of equipment is the backhoe. The backhoe has to operate, especially in the wintertime, and especially with our snow removal downtown, and especially when we have water main breaks. Now, could we call in a contractor? Yeah, we could. But we use that backhoe for a lot of things. It's a frontline piece of equipment. So those 3 pieces we think should be well taken care of and rotated on a, well, they have to be on a fairly regular basis. Questions? I talked more than I planned.
How many pieces of equipment is shared agreements?
With other communities, there's only one that I'm aware of.
Is that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
We have a 20D agreement with a
I didn't see it.
with a curb grinder. Is it in there? No, I don't think it is either. With a curb grinder that goes on the front of the skid steer, the Bobcat, and it grinds 14 inches. And it's, it was here when I came here, I'm not sure what they used it for. We found, and my personal take on that is that they used it it will grind a curb off, but that's really not what it's best designed for. It's best designed to do some asphalt grinding. It will take concrete down, but it leaves it really rough. So we used to use that to put in driveways, but I decided about 5 or 6 years ago that we're not doing that anymore because it doesn't look good enough, and it's not the quality that we want to see in our new neighborhoods. I want somebody in here, if we're getting a contractor in here to put a driveway in, I want a curb cutter that does a nice job. And so the contractors bring somebody in from Iowa City and pay them. We have used it a handful of times. Anytime we get it back from Wilton, though, it seems like Clay has to rebuild it. So we haven't, and they share in the cost of the parts and all that, but we just haven't used it.
All right.
Any other questions?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to file this report? Oh, and also, you can do it all at the same time, but Linda, do you want to come up and, so we can only need one motion for this.
Well, I only have one thing to add to my report, and I just found out about this right before I came up. I had applied for a Walmart grant and I received $2,000 for the garland. So when the grant was written, it would be 1,000 would go back to the city and 1,000 back to the chamber. So all in total, with both grants, with the Community Foundation and Walmart, we received $5,000 of the 8,000. So I was really
All
happy
right.
about that.
Yes.
Good job.
Thank you. All right, motion to file both of these reports.
I'll make that motion.
Boots with the first,
I'll second.
and Spear with the second.
McNeil? Oops. Anderson?
Yes.
Spear?
Yes.
Leeper?
All right, so those will be filed, received and filed. And now we will make a motion to go into closed session for the discussion of. Oh, sorry, I forgot all about the report. I was really excited about being in closed session. All right, so to the reports. I have nothing to report this time. Council report?
I just had a couple of meetings since our last council meeting. The airport, they met on November 9th, however, we didn't have a quorum, so we didn't have an official meeting. But there was a gentleman there who does fixed base operations in, I believe it's Mount Pleasant. And so he gave us a little talk on what that involved, and so we just listened to that, and we'll go further with that sometime when we have a quorum.
All right.
And also Sedco, I guess, met too. They are gonna do a small shop cedar promotion. And there was some talk about a watershed agreement, and it had, I don't know, there's something with some resolution, and I apologize, I don't have, my notes aren't thorough enough here, but it talked about water quality issues, flooding issues, foundation to write potential grants, and I believe that the cities can be a part of this, and then there's $11 million in funding that is available from the federal, and that can be channeled down into the state.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Boots. Committee reports. City manager report.
Briefly, posting ads for the finance director position. They'll appear Wednesday. So that's on the way, and those are both locally and broadly placed. Had some conversation with Steve Nash about leaves. I'll turn it over to him to talk about leave pickup, because I know this is a large issue, and then I just want to have Brad remind us about the open house for the ambulance service. That's all I have there.
All right, Steve.
Leaf pickup is going as scheduled. We're in the northeast zone this week. I think probably we'll get everything as scheduled. There's a few piles around town yet, of course. There's still some leaves up in trees too, but for the most part, the town's looking pretty good, I think. And we'll be sucking leaves even after Thanksgiving. We'll be going around, so checking piles.
All right.
So, and while I'm here, Northside garbage is going to be picked up on Wednesday this week. Because we will not be here on Friday. So,
all right.
Recycling tomorrow, and then the next day will be garbage on the north side. I know people up there didn't get it. Thank you, man.
Yep. I was one of them last time. All right, Brad.
You almost had my whole presentation done right there. It was a lot faster too. I just wanted to give you all a reminder that we're going to host an open house on the 28th coming up. What is it, next week already, at 6:30 p.m. over at our ambulance garage to do a meet and greet and let people take a stroll through our service, see the changes and the upgrades we've made, ask questions. If a couple of you guys would be willing to come, we'd love it. That's it.
And just a council reminder that any two of you can be present and attending there at one time. If somebody else shows up, then you draw straws and somebody goes home. But that's the standard.
All right. Yes, Chief Kepford.
Just an update, we're just finishing up the 7th grade DARE program. It's a 10-week program for the 7th graders. We will have 84 7th graders graduating tomorrow. And we have gotten the Shop with a Cop program back. Last year it was on hiatus because they changed some of the rules and we didn't know about it, and Walmart had changed some things. So we partnered with the Cedar County Sheriff's Department and Iowa State Patrol, and we were able to get a grant from Walmart for $2,000. So we'll be taking 25 children shopping on December 10th. And they will be able to shop for gifts for their family and themselves. And like I said, it will be our office, the Sheriff's Office, Iowa State Patrol, and any of the other smaller agencies that they would like to come in and shop with the kids also. So it's just fun.
And you just reminded me that the chief and I worked on protocol and agenda for the goals and objectives session with the council and area law enforcement executives. We're looking at mid-December. We need to finalize a day, and we'll get that draft agenda to you later for your review. But it's looking like mid-December for that.
All right.
Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you. Lloyd?
I emailed you my superintendent's report, and I gave you a hard copy too. So the only thing I'm really going to touch on is the Walmart outage. The cable's reaching the end of its life. It was direct buried approximately 30 years ago. And this is what we call open concentric wire. It's the neutral grounding part of it is not jacketed. It lays directly in the ground. There's no protective coating over it, like the new cable that we installed today. So that piece went bad. That happened about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and in less than an hour they had it back switched. But what we're doing now is we're feeding off of another area that's the same way. It's 30-plus-year-old cable. I had thought when I talked to Tim that there was a company that would come and inject the cable and make it so that it would last longer. They will if it's stranded cable. This is a solid conductor, so we can't do anything with it. So I just threw some numbers together real quick that we're going to need to rehabilitate the old Capolo cable to jacketed cable. I estimated, I haven't heard back from Terry Squick, but to bore it all in and everything from the cul-de-sac down there on Flat Harris all the way back up behind Walmart, I'm guessing it's going to be about $75,000. So, and this all goes back to part of that project there on North Street and everything else. But it's just part of aging infrastructure, and all this is going to have to be addressed someday. I just don't know when. So, but we're working on a plan in case there's a problem with the cable that's there now that we're feeding. We are going to dig up the piece that's bad now. We're going to fix it. But I've got to get some shoring rented and some other stuff. What did you say our cable was? 6 foot?
Just over 6 foot deep. Yeah.
6 foot deep. So, and then there's, what, 3 communications, 2 fibers, and a...
2 communications and 2 fibers.
Okay. So, they're right in the area. So, at any rate, that's kind of where we're at on that. But, the guys had it done pretty quick. I'm pretty proud of them, so. Okay, thanks.
All right, thank you. All right, so now would be time for the closed session. No decisions will be made during this closed session, but if there is a motion to get us into the closed session.
I'll make that motion.
Boots with the first,
I'll second.
and Spear with the second.
Boots?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Spear?
Yes.
Weaver?
Yes.
McNeil?
All right, so we will enter closed session at 6:19.